I would hear people say things like, are you crazy? If I could be heterosexual, I certainly would. Why would I want to face all the societal prejudice of being gay? No, I can't help being gay, and so I want society to recognize a condition over which I have little or no choice. Now, contrast this with the T, right? Because the T argument is entirely different. The T argument is that regardless of what my biology might suggest or might communicate to a doctor, I can identify as I wish with my own sex, with the opposite sex, maybe with some third category called non-binary, maybe with other exotic definitions that I come up with. I've even seen people who say I identify as a cat. So this appears to be an assertion of the will and an assertion of a triumph of psychology over biology. So am I missing something in terms of the tension or contradiction between these two propositions, the LG proposition, if you will, and the T proposition?
You're not missing anything. That distinction is kind of what got me out of the lab and writing about this in the first place. Because as you mentioned, the LGs and even the Bs, to a large extent, they were just asking us to acknowledge what was essentially just the reality of their attraction. Okay, and you can't test whether someone's, you have to just kind of take their word for it. Like, I promise I'm attracted to members of whatever sex, and just to not discriminate on that basis. And there was no ideology that was surrounding it. You didn't have to believe untrue facts about the world. And I would say that this was also true of like the early T movement. Okay, this, for a long time they'd refer when we called people trans, it didn't mean transgender, it meant transsexual, and this was largely meant to just refer to a group of people who felt a deep internal sense that there was some incongruence, but who were nevertheless very, very aware that they were not the sex that they wanted to be, but nevertheless they felt that it was psychologically beneficial to them to take steps to at least pass that way in society, but they were never fundamentally confused about what sex they actually were. In fact, they were probably more aware of it than anyone else, given like the distress that they felt at that fact. It wasn't until, I guess, the Obama years where we saw this shift from trans referring to transsexuals to transgender. And if you look at just like how the CDC, how the Endocrine Society, the American Academy of Pediatrics, how they're defining this, it is just this wild umbrella term now that is synonymous for anyone who identifies or behaves or expresses themselves in ways that are not traditionally expected of a person who is, they would say, assigned whatever sex at birth, but of their sex. So this just now encompasses common sex nonconformity. It encompasses masculine girls and feminine boys. These are all now under the trans umbrella. So yeah, there is a major ideological shift. That's why in modern times, you can't really separate the T's from the Q's, the queer theory part, because that ideological shift was due to the queer theory aspect that injected this ideology that we can't actually draw lines between categories, because doing so is an oppressive act.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.